Guys, it's February, but incredibly this year, the slopestyle season has already started. In fact, last weekend there was the first stop of the Crankworx in Christchurch, a gold event, not diamond like all the others, which kicked off this season, 2026. Attention, because this year there have been a lot of changes in the rules and in the way riders are selected to participate. Then, especially at the gold and diamond events, this Super League was introduced, which is these 5 events, including the gold one this weekend in Waslanda. Then there's Rotorua Diamond, the other gold event that will be in Europe, which should be the one in Kalnitsa. The other diamond event in Europe is the Distant Ride, and the last one is the Crankworx Joyride in Whistler. These 5 stages create a ranking from which the top 3 men and the top 2 women will already be qualified for the super final stage in Mont Sainte-Anne, another diamond event. As for everyone else, pay attention, because 10 men and 5 women will participate in this stage, so the remaining spots will be decided at the Crankworx Silver Star stage, right after the Joyride Whistler. So it will be a sort of super qualifier for a super final. Last year, I was part of the FMBA committee, which is the group of people responsible for managing the rules and structure of this championship. This proposal was made by Crankworx, which strongly supported it. There were several discussions and votes. Personally, I rejected it. My name is Diego Cavarzasi, because initially, the idea was to combine the prize money from the FB World Tour, meaning the whole season, with the prize money from the final event and create a huge super prize. But this would have been unfair to riders who have a good season but maybe get injured. The event before the last one, the final stop, they would be cut out from their classic annual prize. In the end, this idea was set aside, so there will be a bigger prize in the last event. But luckily, the overall FNB ranking wasn't affected. But the fact remains that Crankworx still pushed and convinced most of the members of the FMBA to approve this new format. Whether it's good or not, I don't know. We'll see this year. It's a test, let's say. And with all this in mind, let's move on to the first event, the one in Christchurch, a gold event. But there are more new things. In fact, the format of this race will be a bit different. Just 3 weeks ago, we approved doing this new format. It consists of the 2 classic runs plus a last trick, which means after the 2 runs. The riders will have another trick available to perform, which will be scored from 1 to 10 to be added to the score of their best run. The idea itself is fine, but we'll see during the video that in my opinion, it wasn't managed well at all in this first phase. So let's start with a summary of the women's section, because honestly, there's not much to say. In fact, I'm really disheartened to see what's happening. There were 5 participants: Patricia, Drew, and Shiloh Aerosmith, Morgan, Anton, and Chelsea Kimball. From the very beginning, about 3 or 4 years ago, I don't remember exactly when the women's section was introduced in slopestyle, I was quite happy because I was confident that this would break down barriers and get more people of the other gender involved in this discipline. So it would have brought the federations closer, and therefore the Olympic Committee, and so on and so forth. What we see today instead is a rather embarrassing situation. First of all, to begin with, the first 2 to start didn't even complete the line. And this shows that at the base, there aren't smaller events where a real selection takes place. Because coming here and comparing the jumps, then stopping at a rather simple Scharfein, you could say simply because it's a different and terrible jump. 5 starters? 2 don't complete the line. That's a very high percentage for the other 3 riders. What can I say? The tricks were always the same: techno hand, suicide, bar spin, toboggan. And luckily, let's give an honorable mention to Shinarino, who threw in some no foot, kanken, a pendulum, and even tried to pull off a nice Superman signature. So my point is very critical about the girls because they've been taking part in these competitions for 4 years. And instead of the level going up, it's actually gone down, meaning we're going backwards. They even struggle to clear the jumps, and despite this, they still have to face the same structures as the men on equal terms. Prize money and everything else being equal is fine. In my opinion, there's a fundamental problem. Clearly, if these girls always end up being 5 and all 5 get prize money, I don't think they're very motivated to push themselves to do more. Obviously, when the prize money is significant. Now, in this stage, I don't know how much it was, but we're definitely talking about the best.
Dollari al primi posti, beh, tanto meglio, no?
I go there, do 2 really easy tricks, get home safe and sound with my money. Unfortunately, that's what stands out about this. In the second run, we saw two pretty heavy falls from the first two girls who didn't even make it past the line. One landed flat on her back after jumping straight. The other came up really short on the step down. I could see it from home. She was slow. She was never going to make it, so it was really a huge misjudgment. I was really taken aback. Then, when Patricia Druven dropped in for her second run, trying to improve, she went completely straight, as if it was the winning run, and she was in second place. But she could easily outdo Silenarino without any problem. And there I was, really just like that. I said, okay, fine, let's just take a walk. But let's move on to the men's contest, where we saw some incredible tricks. New names, like this Liam Haidar, a 15-year-old kid who threw down every possible trick. Some unbelievable bombs. Congratulations to him. He's growing well, but you can see he's still young and has a long way to go. Same goes for Damon Honda, an American guy I've never heard of, and he showed up with a really impressive set of tricks. Cork 7 here and the oppo front stay down rule, basically a complete package of tricks. But aside from these new faces, the main topic of this event was the random judging by the judges. You could really see the puzzled faces of the riders who didn't understand and were surprised by what was happening. And I was at home just watching. But what's happening? Here's a big summary. I won't review every run with you. What happened is that after a first run that put Eric Fedko in the lead with a score of 92.5. Really high, he did a really great run, really technical, pulling off complex tricks like a 3-6 bar whip on the down, even though in my opinion that jump can hardly be considered a step down. Anyway, Davy Ghazi also did his part, Chance Moore did his part, and so on. In the second run, everyone improved, and incredibly, no one managed to surpass Eric Fedko. But more than anyone, I was shocked by the score of the poor guy. Dane Fulp did an amazing first run. He only missed a single trick on the central jump. He was supposed to do a flip bar to whip, but he only did a backflip bar spin and got a ridiculous score of 75.66. In the second run, he fixed it, but the score stayed pretty much the same. He didn't even get one more point. But come on, guys, what's going on? Another person who's definitely shocked is Davy Ghazi, who after doing an amazing run, one of his usual ones, was put in second place. I sat there with my hands, checking where one wins, where the other wins on the jumps, and it was obvious. But could it be that Fedko is in first place just because he did a no-hand on the second step down? Well, I think that's exactly it, because he's the only one who actually did a trick on that mini step down too. How much can such a tiny no-hand change things in a run of 8 jumps, let me understand? Yet, that made the difference, apparently. But let's move on to the new thing in this stage. That is the last trick, which gave the top 6 riders in the ranking the chance to completely change their position. Basically, by doing an extra trick on any one jump of the whole line of their choice. And this trick gave a score from 0 to 10 to be added to the score of the best run. Unfortunately, we didn't see anything great. Or rather, we saw the same tricks that were already done in the run, because now the level is so high that if someone has any best tricks, they have to do them in the run. Except for 2 things, namely the front flip bar spin from the drop by Chance Moore, a really difficult trick, especially to land cleanly, and the other one, even more casual. Tail whip from the step down by Debbie Gozek landed perfectly. An incredible centrifugal force in that trick, but despite this last trick, there weren't any major upsets. Only Nikolai and Caden Igerson gained a position in the final ranking, but more or less the same ranking as the 2 runs was confirmed. What can I say about this new format? So, in my opinion, how was it managed? Crankworx? It went really badly because they set it up in a way that made it almost like a 3rd run in terms of timing. Every rider had an interview before starting, then there was the whole line to do. In the end, the score basically, if you're trying to do something to make this sport a bit more dynamic, more entertaining, they managed it really badly. What should have been done, in my opinion, was to take all the riders and tell them, you have the last jump where everyone is watching. You have to do one more trick. Let's do a 10-minute jam. When you go back to the party, you pick up your score again. Instead, they ended the show like this. They gave it live for, I don't know, half an hour, something exaggerated. In short, I was the first promoter within FMBA who said, we need to change something in the competition format because Sloft is becoming super boring and people don't watch it anymore. But if we do it like this, it doesn't really change much. We need to diversify. We need to innovate. There are several options to change the format and make the events more entertaining. But if we keep relying on the classic straight run, 2 runs, 3 runs, or even if we bring it in a different form, it still ends up feeling like it's always the same thing. The show gets long, it gets boring, it gets tedious. These days, we have to compete with social media, which lasts just a moment. Everything is super fast. Or anyway, look at Sarabako. Sarabako is a very dynamic event, very entertaining because it lasts about an hour and a quarter. The runs go one after another because each person starts when the previous person's run is over. It's all very dynamic, very nice. To conclude, I'll leave you here with my ranking of this event. Judged by me as a judge, and I'll see you at the next stop. These are the consolation cream dates from March 1st to 15th, so in a couple of weeks. And then there will be incredible joy. This year, unfortunately, no European stop. See you in the next video. Guys, bye.